There is a kind of ache that lives inside every woman who has tried to be enough. Enough to be loved, enough to be chosen, enough to finally feel that quiet exhale of belonging. And when it doesn't come, when she's adored for her body but not seen for her soul, when her brilliance is noticed but her truth ignored, something in her begins to break. But the break is sacred, because it leads her to the question no one wants to ask: what actually makes a man truly want a woman? What reaches him beneath the surface, past his eyes, past his hands, and into the part of him that never speaks? The answer isn't found in charm, or beauty, or behavior. It is found in shadow, in soul, in the unseen. But let's pause for just a second. Let me tell you something that might shock you. This next sacred message might hit deeper than you expect. Most of people have no idea that there's a simple, yet deeply sacred way to help other women who are still lost in the maze of their own soul. Women carrying old wounds. Women who silence their screams just to survive. Women searching for a truth they don't yet have words for. When you leave a comment, hit like, or subscribe to this channel, you're not just supporting a video, you're lighting a torch in the dark, because algorithms don't understand pain. But they do amplify what many hearts touch, and sometimes that's all it takes. One touch, one spark, to reach another woman who's about to give up, another seeker of truth, another soul starving for reflection, for shelter, for meaning. So be that. Be a light on someone else's path. Be part of this silent current of healing among women. Comment, subscribe, stay. Your presence here isn't just welcome, it's needed. Now that you're aware, let us continue. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And what draws a man truly, deeply, irreversibly, is a woman who is doing exactly that. She is no longer seducing, she is revealing. She is no longer trying to be chosen, she is choosing herself. Her presence is not an invitation to be impressed. It is a mirror, a mystery, a doorway. She is no longer here to play the role, she is here to be the whole. And that changes everything. You have been taught to decorate your wounds instead of embodying your wholeness. You've been told to smile more, ask for less, be grateful for crumbs, and call that love. But beneath the scripts, beneath the strategies, there is something ancient in you that knows. It knows that real attraction is not performative. It is primal, it is archetypal. It's not about becoming what a man wants. It's about becoming who you are, and letting that truth call to the part of him that has been asleep. Because the masculine is not drawn to the feminine who needs him. He is drawn to the feminine who knows herself, who walks with grief in her belly and wisdom in her bones, who does not beg, does not chase, does not shrink, but instead speaks in symbols, silences, and sacred stares. Her desire is not transactional, her worth is not a question, and her energy is not here to be consumed, it is here to awaken. This is what most people never say. A man doesn't fall for you because you're perfect. He falls because you remind him of himself, not the self he shows the world, but the self he hides. The boy who never healed, the man who wants to rest, the soul who forgot the taste of real. And when you embody your truth, unpolished and alive, it vibrates with something in him that cannot look away. Not because you complete him, but because you call him. But here's the paradox. The very thing that makes you magnetic is what most women are taught to fear. Your power, your silence, your emotional depth, your ability to feel the room without speaking a word. You were told to tone it down, smile more, soften your edges, but those edges were carved by sacred rage. Those depths were shaped by real loss. And the woman who has gone into the dark and returned, she is the one who changes the air when she enters a room. She is the one men remember in their bones. It is not your job to entertain a man's ego. It is not your job to heal his wounds or hold his hand while he avoids himself. Your role is not to fix or fill. It is to stand in your own soul and let that be enough. And when it is, when you choose your truth over their approval, when you become the woman you needed as a girl, something magnetic happens. You stop chasing attention, and you start attracting resonance. Resonance cannot be faked. It is the quiet thunder that happens when two people meet beneath the mask. It is not chemistry. It is remembrance. He doesn't know why he feels safe with you, why your voice sounds like something he's been missing, why your eyes feel like home and challenge all at once. But it's because your soul has texture. You've lived, you've bled, you've shattered, and you've rebuilt, not into perfection, but into presence. And presence is irresistible. If you have ever been told you are too much, hear this. Your intensity is not the problem. It's the medicine. It is the very frequency that calls the masculine out of performance and into presence. But only if he's ready. Most are not, and that's not your failure, that's their journey. The woman who has integrated her pain no longer waits to be claimed. She knows that the real claiming is internal, and when that claiming happens, she no longer performs. She emanates. You are not meant to be a decoration in someone else's story. You are a storm, a sanctuary, a riddle written by the divine feminine. The man who truly wants you will not be afraid of your silence. He will not rush your story. He will not flinch at your fire. He will look at you like a prayer he forgot. He was allowed to say, and he will stay, not because you need him, but because your truth invited his soul to wake up. Still, most women ask the wrong question. How do I keep him interested? But the better question is, who am I when I'm not trying to be wanted? Because that woman, the one who is enough for herself, the one who doesn't shrink for approval or decorate her pain, she is the most wanted of all, not because she conforms, but because she reminds him of the sacred. And the sacred cannot be chased. It must be met. There is something that happens when you stop contorting yourself to be liked. Your energy shifts, your voice slows down, your eyes change, you become magnetic, not because you're trying, but because you're finally here, fully. And the man who is truly ready doesn't want a perfect woman. He wants a real one who has touched her grief, one who has held her rage, one who walks like her body is an altar and her silence is scripture. In the mythology of soul, the feminine is not passive. She is not waiting to be chosen. She chooses. She calls, she conjures, she awakens. And the man who is ripe for real love does not want a woman he can control. He wants a woman who reminds him of God. Not the God of punishment, but the God of mystery, of depth, of awe. The man who is ready does not want you to be small. He wants you to be infinite. He may not say it in words. He may not even understand it fully. But his soul knows. It knows the difference between comfort and truth, between beauty and presence, between role play and reverence. And the woman who stops trying to prove and instead becomes a portal to something sacred, she is unforgettable. She does not scream to be noticed. She simply is. And in her being, something in him is undone. Let them say you are difficult. Let them say you are intimidating. Let them say you are too much. That is the cost of being a woman who does not betray herself. That is the tax of walking in your full energy. Not every man can hold it, but the one who can, he will not want anyone else, because you will not just be a partner, you will be a mirror, a medicine, a moment of home in a world of illusion. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be remembered by the right one, and he will not remember you for your politeness or prettiness. He will remember the way your truth pierced his sleep, the way your voice cracked open a silence in him, the way your soul met his, without asking for less. And in that meeting, that sacred collision, something ancient in him will awaken. Your beauty may catch his eye, but your depth will keep his soul. And depth does not come from trying, it comes from becoming. From burning in the fire of your own life, from loving yourself when no one clapped, from rebuilding your sense of worth with trembling hands. And when you live like that, when you no longer wait to be seen, you become unforgettable. Not to all, but to the ones who matter. Your softness is not weakness. Your openness is not foolish. Your standards are not too high. They are the echo of your healing. And when a man comes close enough to feel the weight of your presence, you see, he will know. He will either rise or retreat, and either way you win, because the woman who knows her worth no longer fears who stays or leaves. She only fears betraying herself again. What if the real reason a man is drawn to you is not because of what you do, but because of what you've survived? What if it's the way your voice holds space for silence, the way your eyes don't rush, the way your energy feels like coming home to a truth he forgot he needed? This is not seduction. This is soul memory, the ache for something ancient, something whole, something real. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to be consecrated. And the man who knows the difference will not rush you. He will not demand. He will not manipulate. He will stand in reverence because he will sense what you have become, not just a woman, but a force. And real men who have done their own inner work, do not fear force. They bow to it, they meet it, they match it. The tragedy is that many women forget who they are before a man ever has the chance to remember. They become small so that someone else can feel big. They hide their hunger so that no one calls them needy. They bury their brilliance so that they don't outshine the fragile masculine. And yet what they are burying is the very thing that would have awakened him. A woman's truth is not a threat to a real man. It is a compass. But you must speak it, not with anger, but with embodiment, because the feminine is not just soft, she is fierce. Not loud, but powerful. Not aggressive, but unapologetic. The woman who has found her center no longer seeks validation in the gaze of others. She lives in her body. She knows her rhythms. She feels the pulse of truth before the mind tries to deny it. And when a man encounters her, he either crumbles under the weight of her presence or he rises to meet her. But to rise, he must let go. Let go of control, of performance, of his own projections of what a woman should be. Because when you live in your full spectrum, your softness and your strength, your nurturing and your knowing, you create a field, a sacred space where only truth can survive. And the man who is ready for that, he will not just want you, he will need to become worthy of you. Worthy, not by being perfect, but by being present, by shedding the armor, by meeting you not as a savior, but as a mirror. And mirrors do not lie, they do not flatter, they reflect. When a man stands in front of a woman who is whole, he sees every part of himself he has yet to love. That is why he's drawn to you, not for ease, but for evolution. And so many of them run, not because you did anything wrong, but because you did everything right. You showed up real, raw, whole, and that is too rare. It threatens every mask he's worn, every illusion he's clung to, every lie about masculinity he was taught to believe. You did not fail. You just became the test he wasn't ready to take. And your only job is to keep being the answer. For yourself, he will come back or he won't. He will rise or he won't. He will meet you or he will miss you. But none of that changes who you are. You are not here to convince a man of your worth. You are here to remember it yourself. And when you do, when you really do, something alchemical happens. You stop magnetizing boys, and you start drawing men who are ready for God, because that's what you become when you stop shrinking, a God force in motion. You speak in myth. You move like music. You know when to walk away without hatred. You know when to stay without fear. You become the kind of woman who terrifies men, not because you are cruel, but because you are kind to yourself. And that level of self-honor feels like a revolution. There is a sacred eroticism in a woman who knows herself. Not performative sexuality, not borrowed sensuality, but the quiet magnetic pulse of a soul that loves its own skin, that dances without permission, that touches the world with reverence. And the man who sees this doesn't just want to sleep with her. He wants to awaken beside her, because she doesn't just offer pleasure. She offers resurrection, and resurrection requires death, of ego, of story, of control. When a man meets a woman like this, he knows something must end. The pretending, the pleasing, the posturing. She does not ask for change. She simply lives it, and her embodiment is contagious. She becomes a kind of spiritual virus, dissolving falseness wherever she stands. He can either resist or join her. Join her in what? In truth, in presence, in depth, in building something that cannot be built on manipulation or roles, something rooted in being, in soul, but most of all in mutual revelation, because what she's offering is not a performance, it's a mirror. And in that mirror, he sees everything, the parts of himself he's proud of, and the ones he tried to forget, but he stays. If he's ready, he stays, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And in staying, he begins his own becoming. He learns that strength is not dominance, that masculinity is not suppression, that intimacy is not control. He learns to love not just you, but himself through you. And that is the most sacred bond of all. You are not a lesson. You are a living invitation to truth. And that truth is not always comfortable. It asks, it burns, it initiates, but it also heals. And in the arms of a woman who no longer betrays herself, a man learns what love actually is. Not possession, not transaction, but presence, devotion, depth. And you, sister, are the doorway to that depth, not because you give it to him, but because you are it. You are the poem he forgot how to read. You are the wild he was taught to fear. You are the stillness he never knew he craved. And when you live in alignment with your truth, your entire being becomes a call, not to the boy in him, but to the man. And the man will come, not for fantasy, but for fire, for truth, for the kind of love that doesn't flinch. You are not just someone to be loved. You are someone who transforms the meaning of love itself. And when you stop chasing the ones who cannot meet you, you make room for the ones who can, the real ones, the ready ones, the men who have kissed their own shadow, who have grieved their mothers, who have shattered their masks. These men will not fear your fire, they will feed it. Not to extinguish you, but to burn beside you, to be cleansed, to be chosen, to be claimed, not by ownership, but by resonance. You don't need to become anything more to attract this. You only need to unbecome everything you were taught to be, the good girl, the pleaser, the savior. None of those roles are yours anymore. You are not a role. You are a revelation. And the man who sees you will not ask you to shrink back into a script. He will ask quietly and without words, "Can I meet you here?" And the answer will not be spoken. It will be lived. In how you hold your gaze, in how you breathe through the silence, in how you say yes, not to him, but to yourself. That is the moment he knows. You are not for show. You are not for sale. You are not afraid of being alone. You are here, whole. And that wholeness is what calls him home. He may never have words for it. He may not be able to explain why your presence rearranged his entire nervous system, why your silence echoed louder than any seduction, why your stillness felt like a prayer and your truth like a storm. But he will feel it. In the parts of himself he used to abandon, in the places he numbed, in the emotions he thought were weakness. You will become a memory of what is real, and reality, when it's sacred, can never be forgotten. This is the initiation. Jung spoke of the transformation that comes not from theories, but from the alchemy of relationship. When two psyches meet, when two shadows collide, when two souls awaken in each other the buried pieces. That is where attraction becomes destiny, not the scripted destiny of fairy tales, but the raw, holy unfolding of soul meeting soul. And this meeting does not happen by accident. It happens when you are ready, ready to stop waiting, ready to stop proving, ready to stop performing. Because the moment you root into yourself, into your truth, your grief, your sensuality, your chaos, the signal changes. You are no longer broadcasting desperation, you are emitting resonance. And the men who are drawn to your performance will fall away. The one drawn to your presence will arrive. And when he does, you will not need to convince him. You will not need to ask, "What are we?" You will not need to manage his perception of you. Because he will feel you, not just the woman, but the myth, the mirror, the magnitude. You will not be a novelty. You will be a necessity, not for his ego, but for his evolution. But even then, do not give him your soul just because he shows up. Let him earn it. Let him show you that he is not afraid of your fire. Let him show you that he can sit in silence without fleeing, that he can witness your sorrow without needing to fix it, that he does not come to rescue or control, but to reverence. Because the man who truly wants you will worship the very parts others tried to tame. You were not made to be understood by the world. You were made to be felt by the few who are fluent in the language of depth. You are not for consumption. You are for communion. And the man who sees that, who meets you not as a prize but as a path, he will not take you lightly. He will know that to be near you is to be changed, and he will say yes to the change. This is what magnetism truly is, not a trick, not a tactic, but a vibration, an embodied frequency that says, I am no longer abandoning myself to be chosen. And in that energy, you become the most desirable woman in the room, not because of what you offer, but because of who you've become. A woman who is not available for anything less than soul. And the tragedy is, most women never get here. They stop at almost. They soften their truth. They wait for permission. They try to keep the peace instead of keeping their power. But you die if you are reading this, if you are remembering. You are different. You are at the threshold. And all you must do is step through into your voice, into your sacred no, into your unapologetic yes, into your wild, holy, undefended self. This is the version of you he will want, not the edited one, not the agreeable one, the real one. And if he cannot hold her, then he is not your mirror. He is a lesson. And you can let him go with love, because you are not just here to be loved. You are here to love yourself so deeply that every man you attract becomes a reflection of that love. No more chasing. No more shrinking, no more tolerating half-hearted connection. From now on, it is depth or nothing, soul or silence, fire or freedom. Because you are not afraid of being alone anymore. You are afraid of being unseen. And that fear, that sacred fear, will guide you. It will tell you when to walk away, when to stay, when to speak, when to leave, when to let a man rise, and when to let him fall. You will become your own oracle. And from that place, you will never again settle for love that cannot hold your wholeness. So if you are still wondering what makes a man want you, truly, deeply, irreversibly, let this be your answer. It is not your beauty. It is not your charm. It is not your effort, it is your embodiment, your soul made visible, your heart made sovereign, your wounds made wisdom, your silence made sacred. That is the real magnetism. And if you've made it here to the end of this remembering, let me ask you this. What part of yourself have you been hiding to be loved? Share it in the comments if you feel called. This space is a sanctuary for truth, for depth, for women becoming whole. If this spoke to something ancient inside you, if it felt like a mirror you've been waiting for, I invite you to subscribe. This channel is not just content, it's communion, a sacred space for the feminine to rise, for your soul to come home, and for love to finally be what it was always meant to be,